hey, it's not what's on you, it's in you, baby. You got to understand that there's going to be challenges, there are going to be things that are going to come against you and rise up against you to stop you, obstacles, life, all of those things. But if you have the mindset and the perspective to view things from a place of abundance, you can change your life.
Then you go into your day on Sunday, bright sunshine out there, and it is going to be hot.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm super excited to be back with another video today. And so if you don't know, I'm the Kayla B. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This channel is all about education, motivation, and lifestyle content. So be sure to check out all of the other videos and subscribe if you want to stay in tune with all the types of videos that I will be doing, just like this one today. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about a poverty mindset. And I just think this is super, super important. We got to get into this as we kick off 2025 because there are so many things to get into. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people are in situations simply because of the fact that they are stuck in a certain mindset. They're stuck in a certain place. And something that I've realized over time is that a lot of times if we are stuck in our minds and if we are stuck in a place of lack, we are not going to be able to move forward. So a lot of times people are thinking that poverty is all about money, but poverty is actually mental, it's actually physical, it's actually spiritual, okay? There are so many levels of poverty that do not reside around making money. And I think that a lot of it shows up in a way where there's a hindrance or a block or a lack around people's finances simply because they do not know how to overcome a lot of the mental poverty that they are going through. So today I want to dive into being able to talk with you guys through some actionable steps that you should consider around poverty and that mindset. But most importantly, I definitely want to dive into just talking through this topic and really helping people to understand that, hey, it's not what's on you, it's in you, baby. You got to understand that there's going to be challenges, there are going to be things that are going to come against you and rise up against you to stop you, obstacles, life, all of those things. But if you have the mindset and the perspective to view things from a place of abundance, you can change your life. And I want to really help people to change their life and change their finances in 2025. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first of all, poverty is a mindset, period. Okay. So if poverty is a mindset, we have to ask ourselves, who wrote your manuscript? Who came up with the mindset that you have? Was it inflicted on you? Was it embedded into you? Did you actually have some say-so over it? Because I think what I've come to realize is so many of us are walking around and we're products of what we've been through, challenges we've had in life. And a lot of times we don't take the time to really tap into ourselves and reflect on a level that helps us to not only identify who we are, but also curate the mindset, curate the belief system that is necessary for us. And a lot of times throughout our lives, we cannot discredit the things that we have been through. We cannot discredit the environments that we grew up in. But what we can do is identify those things as potential blockers or areas that may be affecting or impacting our mindset. And I think it's really important to peel that layer back. So I just want to kick off with what a definition of poverty is. And why I thought this was so powerful when I went to read it was because it says that poverty is a state of not having enough resources to meet basic needs or a lack of access, right? So a state means that it is in a current state. You can have a current state, you could have a future state. So your state is going to be what you dictate, right? States are not finite. States are not something that we have to stay in for the rest of our life, right? So one day we could be happy, something could happen, and we can be sad. That's okay, but our state and our mindset and how we view the state that we in, the states that we are in have so much to do with the trajectory of how we're able to navigate them and how we're able to change them, guys. So the first thing that I want to say is that when I talk about poverty, I'm not talking about just being broke. Being broke is a reflection of your mindset, straight up. Being broke is a reflection of your spiritual well-being. Being broke is a reflection of your physical well-being. There are people with tons of money who are very poor inside. They're very poor spiritually. They lack character. They lack discernment. They lack wisdom. So when we talk about wealth, right, and wealth building, we have to think about it from a place of what are we actually trying to build, right? So we're trying to build our wealth around who we are internally, around our spiritual compass in our life. We're also trying to build wealth physically with tangible assets and resources that we have, but we're also trying to build wealth in our mindset, in our wisdom, and how we show up. I think having wealth is if I used to operate in a certain space and way, and now I can operate from a completely different space, and I've learned lessons, and I don't keep making the same mistakes over again, you have gained something very, very, very powerful, right? Because those are the things that advance you. It's not always about how am I showing up from a financial standpoint, but a lot of times is how am I showing up mentally? How am I showing up spiritually, emotionally? How are the people and things that are connected to me responding to the things that I am giving off, right? And a lot of times I think that a lot of people do not think about those things because they complain, right? They don't think that they can overcome their situations. So if that's you and you're somebody who's been complaining or feeling like, this isn't working out for me, it's dead end after dead end, I keep losing jobs, I keep this, I keep that, you have to question, are there other areas of my life that I'm not showing up in and I'm not having the right mindset and mentality? And what shifts need to occur from me as an individual with a developmental standpoint around those areas of spirituality, around those areas of my mentality? And how does that shift who I am as an individual and the results that will be tied to those shifts that are naturally gonna happen? So the poverty mindset, let's get into that. I believe in the abundance mindset. I believe in you have to figure out a way to make the best out of any situation that is being presented to you. And baby, I'm here to tell y'all, I done been through some situations that maybe the internet may not think about when it comes to me. I done been through some situations in life that could have really took me out the game. I done been through some situations that didn't feel so good, that messed with my confidence, that made me feel insecure as a person. It's not all the time I've been this person who can motivate others and encourage others. Like that's something natural that I've always been able to do. But there were times in my life where I didn't have the wealth or the currency to show up in those seasons of my life for other people in those ways, or my business in that way, or my job in that way, because I was dealing with a lot of things that I needed to deal with and address from a lack perspective. Maybe I lacked the mental fortitude to keep going in one area of my life because I didn't want to address the trauma that I was facing. Maybe I lacked being able to consistently show up and do the things that I want to do every day because I lacked the self-belief or the self-confidence that was necessary to convince myself it was okay to keep going, even if there were doubts and failures. So the thing is, no matter what you've been through, guys, you have to keep pushing. You have to figure out a way to say, hey, I want to keep going. How do I get there? And what's the delta between that? So the mindset of lack, defeat, or a belief that God will not provide is what poverty is. And that's another thing we have to ask ourselves. Do you actually believe God is powerful enough and he's all-knowing, all-encompassing enough to be able to deliver on what you're asking him for, right? You say you want to be married. You say you want to have an amazing family. You say you want to have the best job. You say you want to live in the best communities. But do you actually believe those things are possible for you? Do you believe that God would bless you in that way? And if so, are you showing up in a way to receive those blessings? Because when we talk about spiritual understanding of things, and as you guys know, we're going to be diving into all of that this year. But something that I really, really want to address is some people are tied to outcomes that they have because of the people that they are. And as hard of a hit as that may seem, right, we have to think about it. Have you actually forgiven people? Have you repented for the things that you've done that do not necessarily make you the best person? And can you identify that, hey, I haven't always been the best person in my life? How am I going to be praying to God for forgiveness? How am I going to be praying to God for more wealth, more abundance, when I can't even take the time to just address, am I operating as a good person, as a steward of the things he's already blessed me with? Do I show up for others in the way that I want God to bless me? What is your spiritual wealth? Because poverty is not all tied to money. The things that you may be doing, a lot of behaviors that you may be engaging with may also spiritually be blocking you from the abundance that you are seeking. And it's just that simple. So if there are things you need to take to God about things that you may have done, did you used to steal from people? Did you used to rob? Are you a thief? Like, there are simple things that I feel like we like to overlook, but it's like, have you actually come before God and said, hey, this is who I used to be. I actually have a change of heart around this. I actually am repenting. I'm actually not that person anymore. And now I'm opening, myself up to receive what you actually have for me. Because I know I was engaging in certain things and behaviors that may not also lead to abundance and wealth and positivity and great blessings to come on you. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a really, really important thing that I just kind of want to throw in there, because a lot of times we do overlook the things that we've done. And I had to sit with myself throughout my journey. There were a lot of points where I may not have thought that what I did in that moment was something bad, but after self-reflection, after coming to terms with myself and saying, hey, did you handle that in the best way you could have? Did you treat this person the best that you could have? Did you show up in the best space and capacity that you could have? And if not, it's okay to admit that you didn't. It's okay to ask for forgiveness. It's okay to actually want to change those things about yourself and show up in a much better way. So I think that's also a form of currency when we think about it. I think that is super, super important to also think about those areas of your life that you may be overlooking as well, right? But most people really do think poverty is all about money. And I'm just here to tell you, poverty can literally show up in so many ways of your life that are not necessarily all about finances. The belief systems that we have, right? So a lot of times we're indebted to our beliefs, and our belief systems can come from our childhood, our traumas. So some of the tangible steps that I'm going to give you guys in this video on how to actually transform your life is going to stem from identifying those beliefs, those embedded beliefs, identifying those limited beliefs, and really tapping into your higher self to understand, hey, what are the areas that I really need to work on around my belief system? What do I actually believe? Do I believe the greatest and best things are possible for me? Do I believe those things? Because when you believe something, you start to show up in a whole different way for yourself. So I'll just preface this, right? I've always said that I wanted to be married. I've always said that I wanted to have a family. But there was a point in my life I had to reflect and say, hey, the people that I was dating and the circumstances that I was putting myself in were not going to yield those results. So a lot of times we think we're stuck in a situation, but actually we're the biggest blocker that we have. How we show up and believe in the things that we want significantly changes the trajectory of the behaviors that we're going to output to receive those things. If we think that wealth is health, right? People say that wealth is health. Wealth is peace. Wealth is all of the things that you cannot buy. And from those perspectives, if I'm peaceful, if I understand that I can consistently show up for myself, if I love myself and treat myself the best way, if I put the best things in my body, now all of the things, and a lot of times they're tied to finances, will start to come in. Will start to be attracted to us because we have done the work. You know what I'm saying, guys? So it's really, really important. Here are some things that I want to say that you can take as tangible steps to identify beliefs that may be limiting or embedded beliefs that you may have had throughout your life that you're not identifying, that may be blocking your abundance and your financial dreams, your career dreams, your relationship goals, whatever it is, from coming in, right? So when we think about number one, I want you guys to identify any limiting beliefs that you have about yourself, right? So also, you want to identify any limiting beliefs around what you believe God can do, because I think a lot of times people put God in a box, baby. That man is not going to be put in a box, right? So he is going to show up in ways that you can't imagine. And if you don't even believe that's possible, a lot of times you're robbing yourself of the opportunity to be able to step into those spaces. I don't want to put God in a box, guys. Like, do not put him in a box. Anytime that I've just been like, God, do your big one, blow me away, he shows up and he shows out. Okay, every single time. So I think it's so important to not limit ourselves, because if you limit what God can do, you're gonna definitely limit what you can do as a human being. And I think we should live in a limitless type of mindset. Limiting beliefs literally take your beliefs, shrink them in, put them in a box, and they don't allow you to even have access to anything greater because you don't believe it's possible. So the first thing that I want you guys to do is identify any limiting beliefs about yourself. And then I want you to ask yourself, do I have any limiting beliefs as well around what God can do for me and my situation? Because if you do, you're literally already blocking the blessing before it can come in. You're literally blocking your abundance and your blessings before they can come in, simply because you don't even got no belief in it. Sometimes it starts with us. sometimes we got to sit back and just simply identify, am I the cause? Am I the reason that this is not coming to pass? The one that I want to really touch on is going to be your childhood traumas and belief systems. A lot of times the world, our culture, our society, and especially the environments that we have grown up in as children have placed so many beliefs around us, right? If you've lived in one city your whole life and you ain't never ventured outside that city, you ain't never seen people doing bigger things. I'll tell you guys this, right? So when I was leaving college, I was all like, yeah, you know, I really want to make 100K. I really, really want to make 100K. I need a 6-figure job. You know how many people want a 6-figure job? So guess what? I moved to Atlanta and I started meeting people who are making 6 figures in a day, who were making 6 figures in a month. And those experiences changed my trajectory significantly. Why? Because my belief system went from, I'm good enough for a 6-figure job. This is the best that I can do. This is what society has told me is the best. And then I met people who thought outside the box, who didn't limit themselves, and who believed and had more faith than me. That was it. They weren't smarter than me. They weren't better than me. They didn't have, most of these people, honestly, didn't even have the head start or access to opportunities that I personally had in my life. So my reality started to shift. My belief system started to shift simply by opening up, one, my beliefs around what I was taught as a child. A lot of Caribbean kids, like I'll tell you guys this, I'm Caribbean, I grew up in a Caribbean household. And you know, if you got a Caribbean parent, like they're gonna just force education, education, education. You need a degree, you need a good job. I know my Nigerian sisters and brothers is the same way, my Africans. Like when your parents have immigrated to a place, it definitely changes the trajectory on, you get what I'm saying, how you're raised. They're like, you gotta do this X, Y, and Z to be successful. And then guess what? You meet people whose parents poured into them in a completely different way and told them the sky is the limit. You can be anything you want under the sun. And they go do something super cool. They go start a business. They don't become an engineer. They don't become somebody who just works a 9 to 5. But our beliefs are limited by what we know. So you got to also ask yourself, what do I know and what don't I know? And how do I step outside the realm of what I don't know? How do I make myself uncomfortable, put myself in an environment, not necessarily be my comfort zone, but hey, I don't know who I may encounter. I don't know who I may meet. I don't know what's going to happen in that space and in that time, right? So we get to a place where it's like maybe the city that you're living in, maybe staying in your hometown, maybe just staying around everything that you ever know may be one of the biggest things limiting you. Your childhood traumas, your childhood beliefs, the things that everybody in that environment who doesn't know any better told you and put on you. And it's no shade to those people, right? I love my mom to death. But there was a point where I said, hey, that's not what I actually want for myself. What I actually want for myself is to be a multi-millionaire entrepreneur. I want to run my own business and I want to do X, Y, and Z. I don't want to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. So I had to stop listening to somebody who was like, this is safe, this is comfortable. You make a few $100,000 a year. You have insurance. You have all the best things in the world. That may not be the best things in the world to me. That may not be my life dream. And it's okay to be able to say, hey, somebody could want the best for you, but that doesn't mean that they're providing you with the best access and the best information to what you actually want or need to know. And maybe if you don't step outside the environment, you may never actually have the space to explore and see what is for you. Just think about that. But outside of that, you know, we have to also question what our relationship with money has looked like our entire life. If you have literally been struggling your entire life, if you ain't never been able to pay your bills on time, if you have not had the best relationship with money, you don't have great credit, you're going to be attached to that. Sometimes that also may hinder how much you're able to make or how you're able to show up for certain opportunities because you don't even believe you're worth it. You don't even believe you can make that type of money. So a lot of times, guys, it's not that you don't have access to the best stuff and you don't have this or you don't have that. A lot of times we have so much, but there's so much clutter, distraction, there's so much things that have been put on us that we have to just go ahead and take off one by one before we can actually get to the space of this is what I want. This is how I view myself. This is the currency that I have within myself to output, to show up and commit myself to something. Y'all know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's our perspectives on what's actually attainable that is going to change that. The delta between where you are and where you want to be in life is literally your perspective on what is actually attainable for you. And the second part of that is what you're gonna do to execute and show up every single day of your life and go get it. Because baby, we go getters over here, okay? We not sitting down, we not watching Netflix every day, we not on the couch, we not gossiping, we not on the phone every day just talking about other people. We are going to wake up and commit to ourselves and the process of becoming who we want to be and showing up for ourselves in a way that's going to yield us the results that we want to have in our lives. That's what we're doing. So if that's what you want, you can go ahead and comment. That's what I'm on for 2025.